Hey, what's up? It's your boy Bobby Sapphire, and today I am with my brother Maddie and Steve to talk about the Planetary Qualifier Week 2 meta-analysis now with even more Boba. We're going to go through some of the results in the winning deck lists, and then you're going to hear the meta conversation that we had on our podcast this week. So what's up, boys? Good morning.
Good morning. It's funny.
Morning, bro.
If you like something, you just get more of it. That's like, when my kids eat something and I'm trying to get them to eat, I try to give them more of it. It's like more boba. Here you go.
Here we go.
You guys are
I
playing a lot
mean,
of boba. You're just gonna keep
More
getting
like
it.
if you watch the mini pod this week, I said Boba Green, play some Boba Green, and I'm never upset to be right.
Yeah,
So I'll
well,
take it.
people certainly listened. So we've got all 11 winners from the PQs this weekend. We had several Boba Greens. There are 7 out of 11 Boba winners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of
PQ
them
winners.
were PQ winners. I don't remember what I said.
So
5 of
boba
them were
winners.
green.
It's all
Boba
good.
winners. They are Boba winners.
They are boba winners. Yeah.
Then a Han Yellow, a Sabine ECL, Boss Blue, Ray Tarkentown, and yeah, and then
Mikey's
7
call.
Bobas.
Hooray. Yeah.
Yep,
I'm
Ray
just gonna
Tarkentown.
say it. They might as well ban him at this point.
Ooh,
Screw it.
Oh, he's
hot.
jumping on the band train.
The
I'm
bandwagon.
not a ban boy, but like this is just
I
I don't know.
actually
It's just
think
boring.
like Barrage is more of a problem than Boba, but Boba's very good. But
Yeah, boba's tops.
obviously, 7 out of 11 this week is pretty crazy,
Yeah,
and
it's pretty wild.
we have some data here from a dude on Facebook. I'm gonna get that up while you guys chat about it a little bit, but for like 39% of top eights so far have been Boba Green, 30-point base. So the stats here are pretty crazy. The next highest are Boba Yellow and Sabine ECL with 11% of the
So
qualifiers.
is that 50% Boba if
Oh
you
wait,
do the
sorry.
green and the
I'm looking at the win stats column. Sorry. So top eight is 19% of Boba Greens, and then it's Boba Yellow's 14% of top eights.
But then you
so
get the
32.
ECL.
Yeah, but then you get the ECL. But yeah, so if you add them up, it's probably yeah, close to
10,
like
20,
45%.
30, yeah, 37, right? 20 plus 15, 35 to give it an extra one.
Yeah, we get the math.
Yep.
So obviously big portion, Sabine
Kind of
another big
insane.
portion, Han in third, but yeah, the most of the meta is still Boba Green and Sabine. And I think the biggest thing to mark is just that the Boba numbers went up in week 2. They didn't go down. Like people saw it do well and they jumped on that train. They did not
Right.
try and beat it. So is this the week people try and beat the Bobas, or are people still going to join the Boba train?
That's such a great
Boba
question.
on
I think,
Boba on Boba.
yeah, I think people are a little spooked at the double loss because, like, it's not just on you playing at a good pace. It's like playing your opponent as well. And then you have to, like, get a judge involved if they're playing slowly. So I think I think Boba is still a extremely good deck, but I think because of how punishing a double loss is and some of the awkwardness that goes around with keeping your opponent in check, I think that's a big problem for the control decks. Not to mention the fact that Sabine is, a top 2 deck in the format as well. So like those two things are really hurting, creating this like rock paper scissors that we would want to see, which probably needs to be addressed at some point, but that's not this call.
Yeah. The guy Pasquale on the Facebook group posted this. Crociata is maybe the name. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but that's who put the time into this, and I wanted to shout him out because this is such a
Sweet.
cool table.
Yeah, he did a
just
great
covering
job.
all that, and then the side statistics, which I don't really want to sleep on, and I did send him the last 3 weeks. The last 3 decks from Italy have been posted, but I guess we could have just used this because total tops of Boba Fett
Oh, right.
is 43.26%. Yeah.
Yeah, when you add in the blue and the red, which was
Yeah.
some serious spice for this week.
Yeah, that's gross, man. I mean, I think the biggest thing to me that stands out is goes from 61 to 24. Like that's a huge that gap's bigger than other all the
Yeah.
other second
Right.
X place stats, you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you look at the bases too, green green makes up like 50% of the entire top
Yeah.
8 meta. The one thing that's missing here that I would really like to know is like what's the villain and hero split on these bases, because I really I think the bases don't tell the tale enough. I think like the villain, you know, the fact that these are villain in green and in hero in a lot of the ECLs, I think is really important.
That raw dog Jeddah City is kind of wild though.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was. I don't know. I don't know if we have that data on the previous one, but yeah, it was a Kylo. That would
Oh,
have been my
Kylo.
guess. Is
Yeah,
that
that
it was
Oh,
a
makes
that's
sense.
gross.
Kylo? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, makes sense. You really need to make sure your things stick with that deck, or you're gonna fall behind.
Yeah, so a lot of Boba, and yeah, I think like we said, the big question is, what's going to happen this weekend when we enter week 3 of the PQs. That's me and Maddie's week. We're going to be
Yep.
playing. We're going to be doing
Yeah,
some
it should be
Boba
fun.
testing to see if we can figure out the mirror or maybe get on the train.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
put
not
this one
thing.
first, Matt, because this is your boy. This is Ioku
Junior.
Jr. We just say Junior,
Yeah.
who joined our Discord and Patreon this week and like was looking for games, and Maddie gets some games
Always
from them.
looking for games.
Oh, he's
Great
always
player.
looking for
I tell
games.
everyone to play against him. So like whenever someone joins the Discord, you don't know their like level. So I was playing all like my pet decks against him, and he's just smashing me over and over again. So good positive feedback for him for the week ahead. But yeah, he's a great player, man. I'm really stoked to see. He was in my DMs, made the top 8, made the top 4. I go, you got this. I didn't hear from him, and then he goes, I in fact got this, and I was like, nice.
Nice.
Sick.
Yeah.
Love a young kid with like a lot of confidence and a lot of
Yeah, man.
swagger. That's always fun.
How old is he?
I think he's like a teenager.
Teenager? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, see you at Worlds. He said, maybe. Got to convince my dad. So,
Nice.
Reminiscent of
yeah.
a young Matty Gem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Back
just
in the
say,
day.
hey, it's a bunch of adults. We'll I'm sure he's
Yeah.
got friends in BN that can like take care of him. But yeah, that's one of the things
Yeah.
like when you do the young person thing, it can be a little scary, but there's a lot of like responsible adults in this game, which is nice.
Yeah. Well,
His
Also,
list,
a lot of non-responsible adults in this.
I don't know about that.
I remember being a kid and remember that time I went to some random tournament with that guy and the cops pulled us over and he had a warrant out for his arrest.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
my parents weren't too crazy
that
about
was a
that
different game, and that was the '90s. So let's move on from that. This list is interesting because he works with BN and Blandon and Ian and those guys. Troy, they all have like a little community of like Han Yellow players, and this is obviously a very rebel focused one. But a lot of the tech that I know that Blandon had in his list last week or 2 weeks ago. No, like last week in
I
Jersey,
think he
like the
said it was
Spark of
one
Hope.
card off.
Yeah, I'm sure those guys are all very similar, and there's like a
Right.
rebel package and there's a non-rebel package,
Yep.
and obviously Junior went for the rebel package here, which is really strong. This
Yeah.
deck is good. I played a little bit of it yesterday, and yeah, some of the things it can do, the Bodhi into Kira into Cunning discard is just like, and you could curve all the way up, right? You can go Spark,
Yep.
Bodhi, Kira, and it's just like crazy how much hand destruction is
Yeah,
popular
and you
right
can
now.
then you hand strip them, then you can lock them out with the Tech DJ, which is oppressive. I remember like we had a close game in like testing, and he just never let me get to like 6 resources. I think I was playing like Hero Boba or something. He just never let me get to 6 resources. Like that deck can totally do that. And C-3PO here is like an absolute unit, right? You have 3, 6, 9, 12.
Yeah,
Blah,
just
blah, blah. A ton of 3
ton
drops.
of
Yeah.
threes. Yeah, just always
Um,
naming 3.
yeah.
Yeah, cool list. Good job to
Yeah,
him.
he's a good player, man. I'm pumped.
So we're just gonna burn through other lists that won because we didn't have a lot of these when we recorded our podcast on at 6:30 on Sunday morning. This Bosk Blue list is pretty wild. It's got some. Boba Blue list is wild. It leans into the things that you need to win the control mirror with restock and bounty hunter crew and Bazine to like make sure that you're always going to win that mill mirror, and also tech to be able to like hide restock. But it's also got pirated starfighter, which is like a pretty insane way to to bounce your Bazine, and I assume also to bounce the like any Bosk Blue bounties, but I
Yep.
don't know about it over like the third McClunky. I don't know. It
That's
just seems like a
wild.
wild
Yeah.
card to play, but it worked
I
out
mean,
for
I
him.
guess like early you could like try to
Lock
time lock them
targets.
with Bazine or like something with damage on it. Because like if you do land that against like a space start from an aggro deck, like it can be annoying. It's got 4 butt and it
Yeah,
hits
it's a
hard. So
3/4.
like
I mean, for
yeah.
sure. I mean, it's just like you lean into some of those like, oh, let me play this one of because when it hits, it can be really good. I mean, it certainly kills all the hero ships without dying back.
Yeah, that's right, because it's got raid, so it's only
Yeah.
yeah, probably too cute
I
is
dig
what
it.
I'd file it under, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think like even like if you're gonna be too cute, like do it as a one of that has a lot of game breaking potential. So I
Yeah.
like that. But I think the biggest thing that like really wilds me out is Avengers only in the sideboard when that's such a clutch finisher for these decks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably he's just going with the Snoke as like a concession to some of the aggro decks because, like you said, a lot of the main deck list is tuned to the control mirror. So, like, trying to have something that's a little bit more geared towards aggro to use as a finisher. But, I mean, it
Yeah, I
seems to
mean, I
work for
like
him.
that you can like no one can race you when you have Snoke out. It's just like it's your only fell target in the deck, so he like they're gonna have fells for him, and you're not
Right.
gonna tax that. And Avenger's so much harder to kill. Like Luke kills Snoke, but Luke doesn't kill Avenger, so it's just
This is true.
it's just but maybe he's just yeah,
He's
and
just
only
killing
one
people with Boba
yeah, I guess he's just
and
killing
like
people with
defending
Boba.
with Bazine because like he only has one vigilance, so like he's not
Yeah, he's
milling
not on the
people
mill
out a
plan.
ton.
This is like kind of a mix between the tempo versions and the control versions.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. I'm gonna have to sleeve this up and like see how it plays because you're gonna have to get a lot of longevity out of your Boba leader, and if you don't, it feels like you're gonna lose a punch.
Yeah, but I guess if they have all the hand destruction, it's really maybe you're just protecting him at all costs, and
Yeah,
there it is,
yeah,
and just
yeah.
riding him to victory.
Very linear plan, but yeah.
Yep. All right, then we get the Sheffield PQ winner. This is I made a Facebook post last night, like asking for the last few decks, and this guy came through. This is the winner posted in the thing. So this is the Bosk Blue. It doesn't matter. You've played some Bosk Blue. This doesn't seem like it has anything too spicy that you wouldn't expect in a Bosk Blue deck.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty standard fare. Haven't been getting as many reps at the early like this week, but I mean it's doing all the stuff you want to be doing in a boss deck.
Yep, and it has the
I
yellow
think people are
splash.
just yeah, I
This
like
bean's
the
wild.
bounty hunter. It's
Hmm.
just let's see, 2, 4, 5,
Quizzy,
6,
not
7.
Sabine. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone does it.
Yeah, I like the yellow splash. And bounty hunter's a little pricey. I love the Bazine. But
Yeah,
like when those games go late, um, I think you're kind of okay doing it.
yeah. I just
But
think
yeah,
like I've been saying this for a really long time. If you're gonna win this mill control mirror, you need to have the yellow stuff. So this is just like he's got him there. He can just the Bazine can sit in the row all game until he needs it to discard a restock or a vigilance or something,
yeah,
and it's
I
good.
love Bazine there. The
Yeah,
bounty hunter's a little 8 is a lot because like that's pretty much a whole turn like most of the late game. But
yeah, and it's
I think it's
probably an
still
auto
probably worth it.
resource in most matches,
Yep.
right? And it's just like it's really just for that matchup where you really
Yep.
really need it. So
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah, it's cool. I think more people would be on that deck and the last two. Well, I think a more mill version of the Boba Blue, but I think more people would be playing control if they weren't afraid of Sabine and double loss.
all right, here's Boba ECL wins Minnesota last night. This is by Joey
Oh,
Frechette. His brother is Corey is in our Discord, and they both ran Boba last night. Corey got bounced in top 4. I think he had a different list altogether though. And then we see Steadfast Battalion take it down, and that's
Yeah.
something that we've been talking about
yeah.
internally. But he put it on the felt and got the
Put
dub
it on
with
the felt,
the
baby.
Steadfast list.
Good
So
for him.
Dude,
I
that's
dig
sick.
it.
I was talking about Steadfast before I saw this, either in blue, green, or in this deck, and I love that. I love that call. I was gonna try to keep that close to the chest, but it's out. It's out there in the world now.
It all comes full circle, baby.
this
Yeah,
is a
I
truly
know.
wild version. There are no Bosks, there are no Syndicate lackeys, and there are no Vaders, which like is really wild to me. Not even Vaders in the board for
No,
like the control
no
matchup.
Forlom, but playing Zuckus. That's awesome.
Well,
Just because
ECL
it's like your other
makes
ECL.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
It's
agree. Like once you get it, kind of later.
ECL Zuckus just like absolutely obliterates so many leaders. Like even especially Ray, like that you're trying to flip from behind a Sentinel.
Yeah.
It's just like oh yeah, you're dead.
What I like about this version, and I'm kind of on like something a little similar, is like you can start aggressive and just finish people off. Like even if you're in like a mid range kind of mirror match with either Credo or gunship, it's like does a lot of chip damage, and then from there the overwhelm with Steadfast and the overwhelm with Maul can really just close them out because like the thing about Boba Leader is if you get like 1 or 2 attacks with Boba Leader, they've taken so much damage that like it's just hard to come back from.
Yeah, 6 is a ton. I mean,
Yeah.
when
And
you're
you
playing
also
a
have Fire Spray.
25 point base, yeah, and you have the fire spray to close it out. Yeah, I probably not exactly how I would do it if I was leaning into this strategy. I would want like some like Vader also makes like Toro way better. Not only getting Toros, but like pulling the Boba Fett unit.
Right, for him.
To untap it. So like there's some stuff there, but I think like the Zuckuss ECL is really interesting. Even if you don't want to lean Steadfast Battalion, I think Zuckuss can actually just do enough.
Yeah, kills a lot of guys.
Kills a lot of guys, and honestly, if you even though he can't one shot Boba, like you put the 6 damage on Boba in the mirror, and the armor's not going to protect them anymore.
He's really easy to clean up
Yeah.
from there. Yeah.
Your Boba can kill their Boba with if they put armor on it, and your Boba won't die back either. So like those 2 guys alone can take care of it. So I'm not fully sold on Steadfast, but it's good. I
feel like
dominated the set 1 meta. Freaking
common,
draft
baby.
common. Yeah.
I think that going this route though, like if you're playing against 30, like unless the game goes late where they have like more walkers and more stuff up then, like you're gonna feel really good. You're gonna be able to get ahead, and like that's the whole thing that Boba does. I don't know. I played like a handful of Boba games today with ECL, and it just felt really nice.
Yeah, I just like the McClunky package he doesn't have a ton of like early Underworld stuff to bounce with that. So like, he's only got
I still
9
like
2
the
drops here. It's just not how I would do it. But kudos to this guy for crushing, and winning.
Crushing.
Like, yeah. All right, and then we're gonna start burning through some other Boba greens. This is the one that won Austria. It does look a little bit more standard, like a mix between some of the stuff that the guys in the McClunky team were doing with like the 1 Cloud Rider, the 2/2/3 on the early cost for McClunky. See, the biggest thing here is he has Forlom but no Zuckuss, and he has no Syndicate Lackey. He's got Bosk, and then obviously the spicy main deck Relentless for the anti-control.
I'm digging that Relentless.
Yeah, I like if you're gonna do one and it's Relentless or Devastator, I'm on the Relentless plan personally.
Same.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, and just like it's interesting to note the different mixes people are being successful with in the 4 through 5 drops. Like only having 5 drops for Boba, like when you want to flip, is great. I mean, Forlom and Boba's armor make a really good tag team on the Boba flip turn. So, yeah, it's a little early game skewed, but again, these are working out. It's just I'm curious how the mirrors go when it's so early game skewed, and then not a lot of Boba flip
Play game stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't do enough damage early, then the late game stuff is gonna.
Yeah, because this
start to
feels like
take over.
if your opponent has Boba's armor and stuff to deal with Boba's armor, like this one is a little bit behind where you would want to be. And then got to shout out the Red Ray winning Netherlands. This was a really spicy list. And the guy who ran the Netherlands, PQ, sent me all the data. He made like a spreadsheet of all their stats and everything. So I'll have that in the show notes for this video. But Steve, what do you think of this innovation of Cantina Braggart in the Red Ray? It's got raid 2, so you're basically building a 3/4 on turn 1.
Yeah, I'm digging it. I tried playing around with it a little bit. I had a Red Ray list, I believe. I was running him. I tried him out, but the problem I kept running into is I just couldn't beat Sabines. So like I kind of just scrapped the deck. But this has so much spice in it. Like I'm digging it.
Yeah, but with
I'm
Cantina
digging all
Braggart,
the 1s and 2s.
Cantina Braggart is an automatic 3 attack on turn 2, so he can start killing the Sabine units on the ground without like we put in Lightsaber into Blu-ray to do that, and he's built to do it right off the bat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that could just be the answer.
I was playing that at freaking Gen
Do you
Con
know what he
before
played?
Gen Con.
He
Like
beat
matchups?
he beat a Boba Green in the finals. He beat Sip, who's like one of the best players in Europe. He's like winning everything. So he beat a really good player. I commentated over game 3. I don't remember much of what happened because it was so fast, and I was like running up the stairs to get there before game 3 started. But from what I heard in the chat, like they kind of like punted back and forth game 1, like games 1 and 2, the person who shouldn't have won. But like, what's crazy to me is like only 2 Lukes. That's the only thing that I'm like, hold on a minute here. Only
Yeah, I
two
think you need
Lukes.
3. That's
Yeah, that
that's a
seems
little
bad,
too spicy to me.
especially
But
when you have two maces. But I guess if he's going the more aggressive route, I don't. Maybe the
Mace is gonna
mace.
finish people off.
Yeah, Mace is a good
Yeah.
finisher. I don't hate Mace, but the
One thing we
Cantina Bragger is
noticed
really
is,
cool.
yeah, like, and that's the thing I was gonna circle back to. It's like one thing we noticed in like other decks is like you need to be able to fight Boba on the ground before his flip, so he's in a kind of a tougher position. Obviously, in from the villain blue green perspective, that's to show a power. But like even with this, like you do chunk damage into him, you keep enough room for a takedown. So I really like that angle of going a little lower and fighting on the ground, and then incidentally, yeah, it's good against Sabine too. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Braggart a lot.
even if we don't go Braggart main deck because you don't expect a lot of Sabines, like I could see it being an insane like sideboard tech card.
I like it.
Yeah, the two R2s is the only thing that really bothers me, but otherwise,
Yeah, I just think it's like got a
R2's
lot
fine.
of random numbers, but I think we could clean it up.
Someone
And
could clean it up.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Sip, I get sent Sip's list, and I wanted to shout him out for making the finals. He called his deck lame, I guess, because he caved in and played Boba Fett. But one thing I liked here was the spicy include of the Phase 3 Dark Trooper, as we used to do that with Boba Green, just like play one cell block guard to pull with Vader. So I like that. I
yeah,
like the one
I
on
like it.
Phantom, just a little 2 boxy Vader, and then Bounty Hunter's Quarry also. Great way to
Yeah,
build a
that's
board.
spicy.
I really like that. It only costs 1, which is like so nice to drop on turn 1 with like a Greedo or a Crumb, and like getting to play an extra 3 drop at any point in the game is pretty baller. And also you get to pull that one of Phase 3 Dark Trooper or
Yep.
the Phantom, and then of
And
course you
like
can still grab Super Laser Tag.
the good thing about those one costs too is like sometimes you get that floating resource from Boba that you just can't use. That's like why we liked Recruit back in the day. Well, this is kind of like in a way like almost better than Recruit, of like if
Yeah,
you've
that's a good
identified
point.
you want the cheapies on the board, like getting to flip that into a Bazine can be like a complete blowout.
Yeah, it's a really interesting because you know that you're going to you're going to kill and trade stuff with Boba. Like that's what he
Yep.
does, and that's how you get his untap. So it's like almost inherent that you should do that. I think if I was going to do the bounty hunter's quarries though, I think I would want more ambush. I think I would want Forlom at least. But I don't know. Obviously, we'd have to look at like how the numbers work out. He's only got 1 no good to me dead, 2 waylay, so he's it's tough to fit everything. But I would want a little more ambush. I think personally.
I dig it.
Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, it's a cool list. I mean, you obviously did well with it.
Oh, this is my kind of guy.
This is spicy as hell. And when someone posted this on the Facebook post that I mentioned, he said the guy didn't run a sideboard, and this is a quote from the guy. I mean, obviously this is hearsay because it was posted that the guy said it, but he said sideboards are for noobs. Erroneous. But not only are sideboards for noobs, but chimeras are for champions, people. This guy ran
unreal.
I
2
dig this.
flippin' chimeras. Like that card
Xanadu Blood too.
is a coaster. Xanadu Blood's a good card. I've been playing some Boba Yellow TDR off and on for months, and Wu mentioned it, Tada mentioned it. Like you should do the Xanadu Blood. It hits for 6, which is what people run the ATSD for, to just kind of like use triple Dark Raid as burn 4 mana for 6 damage. But it also, because you have all Underworld stuff, it can tap down one of their resources and really slow them down. It can tap down one of their units so you can win the race. And I do love some
I'm
snapshot
digging
reflexes. I always love snapshot reflexes.
Dr. E. It's spicy. I like it.
My kid is struggling, so I'm just gonna use sign language and mute.
I've still got my my hyper snapshot reflexes on my desk from when I first built Boba Yellow, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be the hot new card." But yeah, this list is crazy. I like the outmaneuver. I don't know if you need 3, but when you're not playing any sideboards, you might as well just jam all the cards you want to play into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very spicy. And of course, we see some more Pirated Starfighter, the new hot tech in the winning deck list here.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing you can do with the Starfighter, they don't have sneak attack, but sometimes people would like get around their sneak attack sack. But I like Chimera to like strip the thing that you're worried about interfering with your TDR attack, and
You have
then
to bounce
also
your
shield
Dr.
it.
E too.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get
so
to
they
bounce your
can't
Dr. E,
get
bounce
sick
your
value.
Bazine, bounce your Cartel Spacer, bounce your Bodhi. Yeah.
Hey, I might have to tap out.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, bro.
All right.
Go ahead. Go
Good
choose
video,
Tesla.
guys.
All right, and then this is the Rochester PQ winner. That let me do this. This is the Rochester PQ winner. This is the same guys that won the New Jersey one. They ran it back. They made some changes. We talked about it. This one we did talk about in the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna flip through it. We talked about this one in the podcast, and we don't have Joko's list. Actually, Joko messaged me to say that list that we talked about wasn't his list, but he didn't send me his list, so this is empty. All right, well, Maddie made it through basically the whole thing anyway, so we're good here. Sure. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about all like the whole meta and some of those lists that I just breezed over in the next segment. So thanks for watching. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is Chicago, which was streamed. And shout out to our 4 subscribers, Loopy, DZ, Yoda Killer, and Ryan Solo for their top 8 finishes. This is one where we watched late into the night. Loopy played in the finals against Jason Hager, which Justin might remember. Steve already said he didn't remember from the Versus System days.
I do remember him.
Oh, you do? Okay, but you didn't remember
That's
Evil Medical
said
School?
earlier,
That's
though.
like, yeah, he invented Evil Medical School and other decks that I don't know the names of, but that one always stuck with me. Evil Medical School was such a funny deck name.
Yeah, Tata said this guy's a baller. So, I mean, that's awesome to see.
Yeah, he definitely had some Chuck Norris type like legendary things being said about him in the chat, like he had never played before, which isn't true, and he got 3 hours of sleep, and that might be true. But yeah, so otherwise though, I think we're going to see a pattern of lots of Sabine, lots of Boba, and some Han splashed in.
We had 3 out of the top 4 from the Discord. Kind of insane.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, we're closing in on 1,200 paid subscribers. Like, I don't know how many people are actually playing the game, but that's got to be a fair chunk of the competitive scene.
It's just like it's all like people who are super active, so like it's awesome seeing them like collaborate in the
That's true.
Discord.
All these guys are active in the Discord.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
they're really active. Yesterday, like in the morning, there was like discussion about how to for Sabine, like just like a roundtable of how to beat the Boba 30s, because CJ and I played about 10 games in the morning, streamed them, and we were basically feeding the green Sabine thread. Like, all right, like red 3 is really, really important, and like Metal Ceremony can be really good, and like Ryan was in there, like, you know, getting some intel. So pretty cool that translated to success. I'm not saying that's like a direct correlation, but overall, like the deck threads are just really.
It's another resource, you know.
I'm saying it's a direct correlation. The more you participate in the Discord, the better you're going to be, and the better you're doing.
I mean, it's true. Like, it's true. You know, to a large degree, that's a very collaborative space. Like every morning on the weekend, people are like, "Hey, you know, I've got an event. Here are my what are my last deck choices? Like, what do I do in this matchup? I see people playing this. I'm not ready for it. What do I do?" And everyone is willing to chip in and help. There's like no cattiness and pettiness and jealousy. It's just really great how much people are collaborating.
The rising tide, baby.
Yep.
If you want to be good, you want to be competitive, join the Discord.
So four Sabines in here. I heard, I don't remember the exact numbers if they're posted, but just that there was a ton of Sabine still, and like almost like very little control in Chicago. So it was all Boba and Sabine.
Yeah, I mean, long event. You know, you've talked about decision fatigue, Mike. Sabine is still, like, in my opinion, like, if not the best deck, you know, with the rise of Boba, like, green coming to a forefront. Like, it's a top 2 deck. Like, it is so strong. It's potent. It gains so many more tools for the late game. Like, I really can't fault anyone for playing it. I think the biggest thing you have to, you know, and the Sabine guys know this more than me. I haven't really been playing it as much, but, like, I think the biggest thing is, like, don't get spooked. Like, your deck is still very good. Don't, like, you know, you don't need to do that much different. You just need to find the lines.
Yeah, let's take a look at the winning list from Jason. I love a lot about this list. 3 enticing reward, 2 commission for the searchies. He's also got another recruit in the board. But he is full on the like low to the ground package and on the 6/7 drop package. So, and this is like that classic clean deck list that we've talked about a lot, Justin, just like all 3s and 3 ofs and 1 2 of. But he went 3 Greedo, 3 Crumb, 3 Bazine, and 3 Cloud Rider for the full 12 2-drop plan, which isn't something that Boba does very often. But with McClunky's, it makes sense. And also, you still have enticing reward for a turn 1 play, you know, and you have 3 Greedo, 3 Salacious, so you can also just go 1-drop and enticing reward, which is really sick, or 1-drop and commission.
I think like streamlining this build and like taking advantage of the Boba untap with all those one drop things after is like so good. So like using Cloud Rider to finish someone off and then get the untap and keep rolling, that's what makes Boba so potent. And like I love the addition of Enticing Reward. It's a card that we've been trying to fit in a lot, but it's like it goes to the same thing that we've been seeing with Boba and why we played Recruit in set 1 of like, you know, sometimes you can kind of run out of your resources. You don't have the same draw potential as, you know, some of the other decks. Like now Enticing Reward is going to go ahead and keep fuel in the fire. Yeah, they're not units, but like the events are still pretty sick if you can parlay like, you know, a Cloud Rider later into a resupply, like that seems good, and then you can get the hits keep rolling with the 7 drops.
Yeah, and my hesitation on enticing in this list has always been that there's just so few non-units in the deck. But I think that's why he put in the commissions. You know, he's full up to the Boba's armor. So that's my one hesitation, is that there's just not that many things to grab. But if you watch the finals in Game 3, you know, he bountied a Battlefield Marine and then got 2 overwhelming barrages and then discarded a Salacious Crumb, and we saw him in Game 1 keep a hand with 2 Salacious Crumb because he's just used, like, I think that's a big part of his fuel of, let's get this guy out, we'll ping, we'll do some damage, we'll heal, and then when Enticing Reward comes, if I have to bounty a non-unique, like, I'm just pitching the Salacious Crumb. I didn't have to worry about, you know, keeping a card in hand or losing a card. So yeah, that remains my only hesitation. But it's possible that it's just so busted that you need all 3. I'm a little greedier with my Boba list. Like I want one-ofs, but there's no doubt that like if I could build all my decks just like this and feel very happy, that I would.
I mean, the nice thing, I know that there's not like the most targets ever, but like you get the thing you want. Like it is a tutor, you know, like that is so insane. Like I think on a long enough timeline, if there's like a, you know, the same thing as Modern and Magic, like cards like Enticing Reward, like could potentially even be banned. I think they're just so insane.
Yeah.
So like
it's you only get to search 10 though, so it's not a full tutor. And I mean, like, I could see this whiffing 2 cards. And if you did it to a non-unique, and you whiff, it's actually pretty terrible.
Yeah, and I guess I'd have to look at the math.
Yeah, I'm sure someone can do the hyper geometric whatever it's
called.
Yeah,
I have that tool up. I use it for Chilton. I'll have to look in. That's a fair point. Seems just so insane.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Justin, Steve, on the list?
I mean, I think it's pretty clean. I like that it's clean. I will echo your regards about the Enticing Reward. I was playing that a little bit in Green Yellow Han, and it was pretty sweet, mostly because I was always able to get like a Ewing. But I could definitely see either whiffing or using that and just getting the commission, something like that. Like if you're not hitting barrage or armor on a consequential turn in this list, at least, it could be a little suspect.
Yeah, but the commission does help there.
Yeah, I wonder.
I like
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just like the aggressiveness of all the low drops.
Yeah, I like the curve. The curve, like the units it has, to me is pretty perfect. I think, like, you know, the people have played Reinforcement Walker, but I think that's, you got the Vader and Maul's like kind of perfect there. I like the 12 turn 1 plays. I wonder if with the Enticing Reward, if he was just utilizing that like almost only when he didn't have Barrage. And like if he had Barrage, you just resource it. And this the mindset there is that you just this, because I don't totally see it. But maybe it's just like it gets, so if you think about seeing, you know, what do you see, 12 cards before turn 5 resources, and if you don't have the Barrage in your first 10, you would jam it. Now obviously, like if you have like other things to throw down, you're probably putting in the resource row, but I think it's just getting margins on drawing Barrage, and then, you know, armor also, but like you're not going to play that to just like get a McClunky. For like, you know, it to me, like the other events,
right? It's just playing more barrages and more
barrages, more consistency with barrage, cool. Mainly, and then like the armors, it's like another thing, and then you can just resource it. I do think that like in, you know, when I looked at this and Loopy was in the finals and people were chatting in the messages about it, that he didn't have Waylay or No Good to Me Dead, and that really like. Loopy should have mulliganed for like a very aggressive like wing leader type of start, or just like a broken type curve, and kind of was like really got spooked by the McClunky thing, which just is so baffling that people can possibly not play a turn one play because of McClunky like the variance there. I don't see that because like
I've been there, man. I goofed.
Yeah, I did it last week on stream. I get it.
I don't
You
get
in
like
your head.
those 2 cards.
Yeah.
So for the people watching want to play Sabine, like play your turn one.
You got to make
don't make them
fired.
have a 2-card combo. Like no, not even shots fired. Like I'm just seeing like that because if your turn one lives and you have a wing leader, like I don't know how this
that's
deck wins.
GG. Yeah.
Because like they basically are taking 15 from that.
Yeah, and God forbid
for
you do
free.
it in space on an A-wing, because they can't even like super
Yeah,
laser.
if it's on, like,
they
if
have
it's
to
on a
have race to
ground
play to
unit.
catch up.
And on a ground unit, he's got the Cloud Riders to like maybe Cloud Rider and then like Bazine and McClunky later type of thing, or like Boba Fett maybe can kill something. But like if you go wing leader here, like I don't know how this deck wins, but at the same time, you do have the McClunkies, so like there is a number of times where you're just gonna have that too. So
yeah. More and more, I'm like looking at Sabine, like loving space starts against a lot of decks.
Yeah, I went to X-Wing in mine.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, and then I wanted to shout out Yoda Killer with his second place finish here in doing the Boba Red thing, which Boba Red kind of saw a little bit of a resurgence.
That's cool looking.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The space deck, like these space decks are just so fun to look at. Like when you see them, you're like, man, that's a cool deck.
Dude, TDR is busted, man.
It's like Bang's main.
Yeah.
Got like
this thing hummed.
Yeah, this looks sweet. Wolfie.
I like seeing some new innovations there.
I like that deck name.
Bring you in warm, bring you in cold. He didn't say that. Yeah, the daring raids are really cool. The 4-strokes are really cool. Just like, it's all space. It's TDR. It's got the ISB agent. I mean, Yoda Killer played this because it's good against Boba Green, and that's something that Chrono was telling us too in the team chat. So I think like it's really important that people look out for ways and remember decks that beat Boba Green if they wanna play against it. I don't remember what took him out. I think it was Sabine because there were so many Sabines.
I think he lost. Didn't he lose to? Was it DZ on yellow or?
Oh, it's possible. It's possible. If he ran against DZ, then that's pretty bad because of all the bounce.
The cunning and bounce.
I'm like 90% sure.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's like a really tough matchup because of the 12 bounce cards.
It's funny, like looking at Jason's deck, which is Boba, and then looking like the yellow Bobas. You have one deck that has like 9 bounce spells, and one deck that has 0. It's funny, like just how different they are with the same, soon to be banned leader.
I watched. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will say, like I know you guys like the clean look of Jason's deck list, but there is a world where we make some trims and add in waylays, and then your enticing's even better. But
I think like for open deck list too, like you top 8, and then you like have like a couple waylays in your 60,
right?
So you make people like
play around it,
or like get spooked the same way they're spooked about McClunky. Like they don't wing leader because they're like, oh, if he has the waylay, I don't want to look embarrassed on stream, and then they get blown out by it, or don't get blown out by it, just not seeing like, hey, you need to just you need to like lean in. People are always like, so
you either got the barrier or you don't.
Right, just do it.
Yeah, just make him have it.
Make him have it.
I played a practice match this morning, and I set it up so like my opponent could, quote unquote, could not deploy their Boba. I had 3 resources up. They had nothing on board, so I was representing the power, and they just decided I don't have it, and I didn't. I still ended up winning the game, but like that was kind of tough sell of like, I guess whatever was in his hand, like he had to make that play, and like sometimes people do, and you just have to make them have it.
All right, let's take a look at the Rochester PQ. So these are the McClunky guys. This is Titan.
Dude, Titan Phillip, is ripped.
Dude, wait till you see him in person next
week.
Steve's going next week. Steve's like, hold on, what is going on here?
That dude's big.
Yeah, he's really big. It's so fun. I was like, Jesus, you're even bigger than your freaking Discord avatar. And then that's Crusher and Phil's, the two guys who dominated the New Jersey PQ. And then I don't know Titan's lady's name, but she did give me a high five last week because when Crusher asked me what I was listening to, I told when I said what it was, she got all excited and gave me a high five. So that was pretty sweet.
Swift?
No, it was Good Luck Babe by Chapel Rowan.
Oh, I haven't heard this Chapel, but I heard
one.
they're popping off.
Yeah, she's great. Album of the summer, even though it was from last year. Anyway, this was a totally stacked top 8 with these guys from McClunky Gaming. You had Ian from BN, Bothan Network. You had Alex Blandon, who's been a pro in many games. This is who I rode to New Jersey with. Sunny D, who he's like a former world champion at one of those games. All these guys are starting to blend together in my head, but I got some great games with him.
Dragon Ball or something, maybe?
Oh yeah, Dragon. He's the Dragon Ball world champ, I think.
Said.
I tested against. So I was streaming in the Discord the other night and tested against him, and he gave me like a rematch too because he had like an insane draw with his Boba green deck, triple fire spray against me. So he's really good. We had some good games, and so shout out to these guys for top 8ing. And then Ian and Alex, both who've been like working hard on Boba Yellow Han Yellow together, make top 4. They both have to face. It's like I know Alex and Ian are teammates, but they have like
they work together.
They work together a lot on the Han Yellow Discord, and they faced the teammates from McClunky Gaming and both lost and ended up being all Boba Green finals.
Yeah, that seems like a tough matchup. I actually, other than the rise of the Bobas, I thought that Han Yellow put itself in a pretty decent position in this meta, but that's a tough matchup for sure.
Yeah, and word on the street is they cut the Salacious Crumbs. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, actually,
the tech.
The reason why I was hoping that you guys would talk about the Yoda Killer list is because I remembered that I do have the list. I had to add it to the slideshow secretly while we were recording.
So let's see it.
Yeah, well, there's Phil, our boy Phil from the Discord in the judges shirt. He sent some pictures. He came to our draft. He sent all these pictures in. Of KTOD members at the PQ. That one in the middle is Nate. He's the one that helped me get the bottle of Jaeger to CJ when I had it secretly imported from Europe. That's
sick.
Yeah. So this is this crew, and then no, it didn't load. Hold on, boys. I'm gonna hit refresh, and now it'll.
I didn't realize he judged that. That's cool, Phil.
Cool.
Look at that. The magic.
Yeah, he's a nice dude.
The magic of
production.
production.
That he should do a judge article.
Okay, cool. Mike. So you'll see some wild stuff here. Yes, cut the Salacious and replace them with Kintan Intimidator. On attack, exhaust the defender. And we've been talking about this behind the scenes, guys, about like the one cost exhaust. That this is essential. And like you'll see that they went up to 3 no good to me dead in this list because probably in concession to like tapping a Boba's armored guy. Armored Boba being so strong, so now they have essentially 5 main deck answers to our opponent slamming a Boba Fett armor, and they only ran 2 Boba Fett's armor, which a lot of people think is completely uncuttable.
Wild.
I mean, I wouldn't mind running 2 if I had a commission also, or like you did the enticing reward thing, but I guess they just thought so many people would target it and hate it. But one thing that they do, and like you can watch the games on stream. There's between this weekend and last weekend, there's infinite games on stream to watch of these guys if you really want to dig deep. But they run it pretty aggressively, especially Crusher. Like he gets really aggro with it to the point where I'm actually surprised that they run Boba over Toro when they run it so aggro and they have Bosks.
Right.
But not a lot of bounty hunters. It looks like
other than that,
looks like they cut the 4 Zuckus package completely. So.
Well, like Defender and Boba's kind of cracked too, right?
I mean, I'm not one of these people who've been hating on Boba the last few months. I still think he's insane. I just think if you're leaning in on hot shots and aggro, just like maybe think about Toro. But it's obviously
another way that card is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, I'd probably cut.
And then you can like get Bazine and Defender off your Vader, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think it's funny. We were just talking about they have the one waylay to make people think with the 2 in the board. I like that.
Yeah, I love that.
When looking at Jason's deck, also didn't have Blaster, which seems interesting.
Yeah, he went full
On
control
both
route and
sides.
no
Yeah.
aggro
Full
route.
control. This is like 2 Vaders. I like the look of this list a lot. I mean, I don't know the impact of the 1/4. It does sort of make sense. You could tap like a, there's these big leaders that come out, Sabine and Boba. So like if you're able to tap one, just suicide them in.
He also can't be
Doesn't seem
ECL'd
super
into McClunky,
bad.
right? Like, we saw Loopy in game 2, I think, ECL a Salacious to cut off the McClunky play, and
Yeah.
this can't be done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to make your opponent play better because it's like a really bad play to ECL
That
and
was my
waste
next
it.
point.
So I think you probably
But even if
probably
it's
want to
not
leave it past it.
even if it's not ECL into it, like you still like if you don't have the McClunky turn 1 or something, like this guy does survive like against those 3 attack guys. So you do get to keep your guy out if you draw into the McClunky, or even just like any point in the match where you get to take initiative and just suicide him in to exhaust something like a Sabine with a Darksaber or something.
Right. I think that like Crumb's really good though, and like this is
No doubt.
like Crumb does a lot of stuff. Like he gains the life, he can kill you on super laser tech. If the Sabines start, going all space, you still have a way to kill your super laser tech. Like that's one thing. One of the reasons I went to the X-Wings just is to cut the ramp in half, because you're just always going like space turn 1. At first we were talking about like R2s and Sabine chat about like, oh, we'll go R2 so we can't get McClunky, but then we're recognizing that that's just a little bit slow, and super laser tech just like attacks into it and then ramps, and it's like you're kind of left with like a 1/2, and they've got an extra resource.
Right.
So kind of like, all right, we're gonna go A-Wing, X-Wing, Wing Leader, Red 3. Those are the cards you want to see early. And then if they go super, they like have to have the resupply, and if they don't, like if you look at this list, like its turn 4 isn't very good. Or resource 4 isn't very good. Like there's just not many plays. Like what are you doing? Like maybe a Waylay, maybe freezing something, but that's like not super great. Playing another 2-drop.
No, they're
So like
hoping a
that's
ramp.
where you can
Yeah.
you're hoping a ramp. So like if you're able to get that like Darksaber out, I mean obviously you can get frozen, but like even just like jamming like a K2 at that point, or something along those lines, and getting a big metal turn. So I do think that this guy's really interesting, but I wouldn't necessarily just like completely say Crumb isn't good either, because Crumb's pretty baller.
Yeah, I
you want
agree.
to keep doing your opening
Yeah,
hand.
I'm excited to sort of like dig in with this list and get games with you, Justin, where like you're on Sabine
Yeah.
and I'm on this, and explore ways to kind of exploit these Boba decks.
The
Yeah.
Got a lot of work to
5-drop
do.
ambush guys is interesting here. I don't know if we've seen that, but that I've liked
That's
both
old
of them. I
school.
like
That's
that
set
card.
1 style. We used to do
Yeah.
that. Remember, Justin?
Ramp
Like you
into
had very
that
early.
play.
You had like a list with 9
Yeah.
or
A
even
bunch of
10
5
5-drops.
drops,
Yeah. But
Right.
I
It was
do.
like just always use it for 8 mana.
Yeah, basically what they did is, when they moved away from the 4 Lamzuckus package, just added the Bosks instead. And I don't know what really replaced 4 Lam, but you're right. Just like it doesn't have anything to do if you don't ramp. Probably things like Hot Chop Blaster to kill something, play a 2-drop or something.
Right.
Or
Right.
1-drop, 3-drop.
Yeah.
Cool. And then they moved away from the choose sides in the
I guess
sideboard.
Bazine,
Oh, Bazine Smuggle, right? Yeah, you
that's
could do
probably
that.
what you're doing
Yeah,
on
Bazine
4.
Smuggle.
Because if it's like
That's a good call.
shutting down like an ECL Poe type thing.
Pretty surprised to see Change of Heart. Maybe they thought people would just be too aware of choose sides and move away from it. But I like choose sides.
I still like choose sides, especially with
not
these
a huge
dinkers.
Change of Heart fan. I've never really been a huge Change of Heart fan. Cool. All right, let's. I don't have.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was hoping to wake up from to a ton of information from the various Europe PQs that had no information in them and the Vegas PQ, but I did get the winning Sabine list in this form from paid
X-Wings.
who shouted me out. Raid the Roach sent me this. He was the Vegas PQ. This is Patrick Joko's list.
Oh, wow.
Old school versus pro. We had 2 old school versus pros win PQs this weekend, the Vegas one and the Chicago one. So the versus system, pro tour pro circuit, is back with a vengeance.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I like a lot of things that you've done, Justin, and like right down to the 1 Fighters for Freedom main, which I thought was really good.
Some things I haven't done, like the Crate Dragon in the sideboard. But
yeah, I mean, I was gonna get there, but
Kinda cool.
only 1 medal ceremony. But this does have remnants of like what you've helped me work on for last week with like a little bit of R2s, the Fighters for Freedom, the 2 timelies. But yeah, the 1 Daring Raid main is pretty surprising. The one medal ceremony is pretty surprising, but everything else, and then obviously the sideboard has a wild go long package with U-Wing and Great Dragon.
Yeah, the Fang main is interesting. I see you can see the X-Wings there, so I think those probably were really big for him over that better than Pathfinder. I'm on one Fighters for Freedom right now as well. I think it's kind of like you want the extra 3-drop just for sort of
Yeah, I
it's a
ran it
good,
last
good
weekend.
body.
I
I
loved
like
it.
it. It's really good. I like this list a lot. The only thing I don't like is really the one medal. Like I was at one point I was off medal and I was like, oh, I think no, like I've been especially now, like if you're able to jam a 2/4 space unit, red 3 or A-wing, like so many decks have problems with that. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I've been
um,
doing with Ray. Essentially, is like making a 2/4 in space, and it's like so
yep,
silly how out of hand
it's
it
so
gets.
silly. Right.
What do you so like? He's got a lot of targets. He's got 7 targets that don't hit off 4 cause, which is a little concerning to me. I wouldn't run the daring raid. Like that would just be another
Yeah,
medal
I
for
wouldn't do
me,
that. Yeah.
and I would
Yeah.
be
I
on 3 medal and 2 rebel assault, like we did last
Yep.
week.
Yep. I'm on 2 Rebel
And
Assault
then what
right
do you
now, and
think
then
about
one's
the Bright
done.
Hopes main? You like those?
I like the Adelphi better. I did a lot of testing with like which one's better into Boba, and like one thing that we found is like it's really a race. And like when Fet's Fire Spray comes out, sure, it's nice, but the most part the race is on the ground for Boba, and you're actually the one owning space. Like, so being able to Adelphi, it's like jam it out, put a big unit out that's hard to barrage, and sort of having like really, really big targets. I think is a little bit higher impact. I think I would certainly want both in my 60. I have 2 of each in my 60. So
Yeah.
I like the emergence of Fangs. So we had like the confiscate thing for a while. I think Fangs are actually you want 3 in your 60, which is like huge. He has 3. And the one main deck is making me think a little bit too is an interesting call because like just the Boba decks with the armor, like just taking that off the board. If all these games are one action and Boba's armor is essentially like doing 4 damage, doing more damage with barrage,
Right.
and like letting Boba live, which is causing them to do more damage. Like if you kill their Boba, there's like it's just harder for them to. It's so much harder for them to race because like
Yeah.
so many of the games become like Boba's armor and then blasters. Like
Yep.
they do like 14 off of that one unit.
Yeah, and you're
A
so
lot of
dead
their
so
value is
fast.
out of Boba because he's
Yeah.
so
Right.
overstated. So like if you any game where I've taken out a Boba like pretty efficiently, yeah, it feels like
Yeah, I mean that's
So I
why
really-
that's
deck
why that
can
early
operate.
ECL is like so backbreaking. Like you
Yeah.
you really need to save it for Poe,
Well,
and you
that's
need
the
to draw
thing,
your
and,
Poe.
and
Yeah.
hopefully no one's like offended by me saying that early one's a bad play, but like I think you really have to save it unless you just like see a line, and that's like the one thing I'll say is like there are games where you want an early ECL with like you just have to take the risk. Oftentimes, like on the 3rd turn with like the Sabine turn with like a K2, I'll take it. And like if I like double metal K2 and haven't drawn the Poe yet, so it's like all right, you know what? I'm gonna like they have 1 unit out. Um, I'm gonna take it off the board. You haven't ramped yet, and I'm just gonna like blast you out of the world. I'm gonna have like a 6 something K2. I'm gonna have a 4/6, 4/7 Sabine. I'm gonna have like a red 3 that's like a those type of games. I think you do want to do it. But they hinge on metal, and then the other
Right.
games you want to is like get your Poe, or Wrecker ECL and kind of like finish the game that way. Although
Yeah,
Wrecker's like way worse against the armor. So
right. Is it worth in the 60 having recruits then for Sabine?
I think it's possible, but I think like what I want to test this week, and Mike, you were saying we want to get games. I want to test this like what it looks like with 3 fangs, like just 3 fangs against it. Because like we're saying, like you go to space, and you're able to, and like post board, you'd have like 2 or 3 copies of Bright Hope. You'd have the Adelphi. So like at that point, like what is the Boba deck actually beating down with? Because you're able to take the armors off the table.
Right.
And like, yeah, Boba's cool, but if I'm just able to like jam all this stuff in space and then still have my ECL up, where yeah, Poe might be getting like Bazine, but at some point, if I'm able to kill your armors, now I have Poe and Wrecker to kill your Boba, and like that to me sounds really good. So I think that's like the angle that you want to take as Sabine. Sabine
Yeah,
is the
and
disabling Fang fighters. is the
Patrick
big
does
thing.
have 3 in his 60, and also
Yeah,
when you
and
do
3
run,
Bright Hopes.
yep, and 3 Bright Hopes, and when you do run 3, you're more likely, in the Boba matchup you might save it to hit the armor, but there aren't anything else to hit. But in other matchups, if you can just like strip a shield or take an experience token while you play your 3-drop on curve, like you're going to be more apt to do that when you have a bunch and not like get in your
Right.
head about what, like, oh, maybe I need to save this for like a lightsaber or something. But and then it
Yeah,
becomes a
and great
huge blowout.
against great against like Bosk, obviously, like just being able to play a unit and kill a bounty, and like just seems really solid. Like back, we kind of went like with the confiscate sort of over teched in the mirror, so you could like play a 3-drop and a 1-drop, and like
Right.
blow out the dark saber turn. But like I really like the fangs.
Nice.
Cool.
All right, let's see. All right, we're done with PQ talk for now because we don't have any other results. We talked about the winners of all the events, and